Hi everyone, my name is Tanaeem Rehman and I'm currently a fourth year undergraduate student. So last year I peer mentored for a second year cell biology course and collaborated with Dr. Mayi, who was the course instructor. So essentially as a peer mentor, I helped organize weekly sessions for students to help them better understand the material and to allow them to ask questions from someone who had undergone the same experience as them.
Hi, my name is Mayi, Arcellana-Panlilio, or Dr. Mayi to my students. I've taught the cell biology course since its inception as a core course in the Bachelor of Health Science curriculum at the University of Calgary. I teach the course using interactive lectures, presentations, and tutorials.
So the topic of our conversation today is centered upon the importance of teacher-student partnerships at the post-secondary level, the benefits that are associated with such partnerships, and some of the challenges that can arise when students and faculty like me and Dr. Mayi attempt to collaborate across the power lines. We'll also provide some suggestions for how to address these challenges moving forward.
So, why don't we start with some background about peer mentoring at the University of Calgary?
Yes, for sure. So to provide some background, at the University of Calgary, peer mentoring occurs as part of an organized course where students from any degree can enroll into a 4-credit course. So this 4-credit course has two components. So it has a seminar-based lecture and a practicum. So the seminar involves learning about different pedagogies and thinkers in the field of teaching and learning, whereas the practicum is where you collaborate with another professor to support the learning of junior students, which is what I had done with you, Dr. Mayi.
So, Tanaeem, what made you interested in peer mentoring in third year?
Mhm. So I'd always been interested in teaching and learning even before starting university, and that was largely due to my experience with just tutoring and mentoring in my community. But I think that having had a peer mentor for one of my courses in first year was really influential, as it allowed me to see what the role of a peer mentor entails. And knowing this, I valued the fact that as a peer mentor, I would be able to have a direct impact on a student's experience in the course by being someone that they could relate to, as I'd undergone the same experiences as them at one point. So in addition to these personal interests in peer mentoring, I was also drawn to the idea of collaborating and partnering with professors with whom I had taken courses before and who had inspired me or affected me in some way, as you had. And I felt that this would allow me to learn and grow in a way that's not possible in a traditional lecture style classroom. So I wanted to ask, what about you? So what made you decide to take me on as a peer mentor when I first approached you?
Well, Tanaeem, first of all, because you'd taken the same biology, cell biology course the year before, I already knew you. I knew you as an excellent student, intelligent, engaged, and open. And secondly, incorporating peer mentorship in the cell biology course was something that I had been thinking about. you know, sometimes I'd invite former students to come back and teach mini lessons that showed the application of cell biology in their present studies or their research. So these one-offs were great in building confidence and inspiring inquiry. And for me, it helped to get buy-in from the students on the relevance of cell biology. But lately, I had started to think about how much better the experience would be for everyone if these interactions weren't limited to happening just once in a semester, but were expanded to take place on a regular basis throughout the term. So, where there'd be opportunities for some meaningful interactions.
It's really great. I know prior to kind of starting our peer mentoring sessions, we had a lot of discussions about how we wanted to organize these sessions and kind of introduce peer mentoring into the classroom. And we had a certain vision when beginning the semester. Would you talk a bit about what we had envisioned?
Sure. So, the way we envisioned incorporating peer mentorship in the course was through a revamped office hours format. So, essentially, every Thursday after lecture, we would hold those peer mentoring sessions where the students would be encouraged to stay and work together on review worksheets that you and I made together. So, these were meant to get them thinking critically about the material, prompt discussions, and allow them an opportunity to really find out if they had gaps in their knowledge. and we'd be there to facilitate and respond to questions and to clear misconceptions on the spot. Now, Taneem, can you describe how we planned and organized the weekly sessions?
Yes, so every week we would have a weekly meeting where we would discuss our observations of the class, such as what was going well, what wasn't, what could be improved. And we would also identify key concepts from the past 2 to 3 lectures that would then become the basis for the weekly worksheet. So we would work together to brainstorm the types of questions and activities that would be best suited for each type of concept. So whether that was a short answer question format, a Kahoot format, true or false questions, or even multiple choice questions. And then based off these worksheets, students could then expect similarly formatted questions on their exams.
So, what did a typical session look like? How did we work together during the session?
So a typical section consisted of students working in small groups to complete the worksheets that we had created. While you and I would walk around to check in on the students, we would talk to them and address any questions that they had. I found that, Dr. Mayi, when you would mingle with the students and allow me to take the lead when needed, I found this to be incredibly powerful in helping to legitimize my role in the classroom in front of the students. It also gave me a lot of confidence in myself and really taught me that authority is something that's fluid, and learning to share it and silence it when needed is key to any authentic partnership. So now we'll talk a bit about how our collaboration affected both of us personally and how it affected the way we view teaching and learning. So I'll get us started. So for me, it taught me the importance of self-reflection. So in order to improve as a peer mentor, I realized that I had to constantly uh, reflect on the way I approach peer mentoring and what I could do better. In a lot of ways, it also taught me the importance of vulnerability. So initially, I was kind of reserved, but I learned that by sharing my own experiences or failures with the students, I was better able to connect with them. And they were more likely to approach me when they were also struggling with something similar or even totally different. But aside from these personal benefits, I also learned important communication skills, such as recognizing when someone needs help, how to ask key questions to gauge someone's knowledge or to find out exactly where they need help, the importance of not jumping in and letting others kind of explore and assess their own gaps in knowledge first. And lastly, it gave me the confidence to seek out collaborations with other faculty members. So whether that was for research or just expressing my interest in their work. So I would like to hear how it affected you, Dr. Mayi.
Yes, of course. So the students who came to our sessions told us that they appreciated being able to ask questions about the course material and to listen to the questions that others were asking. Now that second observation really demonstrates the benefit of having the students meet as a group in a peer mentoring session, because seeing that your classmates have the same questions that you have can be very reassuring, and hearing questions you hadn't even thought of asking can help identify gaps in understanding that you didn't even realize were there. So the peer mentorship session is perhaps the safest place for coming to these realizations. Now, for me, these sessions meant consciously letting go of the reins, as it were, and letting you take charge. Romer and Whipple in 1991 write about silencing one's voice in order to hear other voices. So I think consciously stepping back allowed me to reap the rewards of seeing you, Taneem, conduct the sessions, ask the questions, assess student responses on the spot, and be asked questions yourself and answer with authority.
And now we'll kind of go into discussing some of the lessons that we learned from our experience and what our next steps will be going forward based on these lessons. So my main takeaway from this experience actually came from one of the things that we struggled with during our partnership, and that was having a low turnout rate for the peer mentoring sessions. And that was largely because they were optional, so students could choose not to attend. And while we did receive a lot of great feedback about the benefits of the sessions from students that did attend them, many students would actually come to the sessions, take the worksheets that we had prepared, and they would go home to work on them rather than physically staying behind and working in small groups, which is what we had envisioned and would have ideally liked. So one major change or lesson that we learned from this kind of experience was that peer mentoring must be incorporated into the course curriculum rather than being a standalone extra optional activity. And we are actually implementing this change in our current peer mentoring.
So really being deliberate about the integration of peer mentorship into the design of the course will be very important, because in our first attempt at peer mentorship in our classroom, what we did really helped students acquire course content and learn it well enough to apply it to their essays and assignments and even the exams. But I think that we can be more ambitious about what peer mentorship can accomplish in the second go around, especially as an integral part of the course. Now, achieving course material mastery is always right. It's always a worthy goal of any teaching. However, the very nature of peer mentorship as a collaboration among learners opens the possibility not only for co-mastery of course content, but co-creation of new knowledge and understanding.
I completely agree. I think that's really important to kind of move away from just mastery of content to actually kind of co-creation of knowledge and understanding. And in our case, we've actually gone on to collaborate in writing a paper to share our reflections. And I'm currently peer mentoring for the same course again this semester with Dr. Mayi. And we're also looking at involving mentees in our research by getting their perspective on collaboration across the power lines.
Now, Tanaeem, as we come to the end of our conversation, what would you say is the main message for others from what we have learned?
I think we touched on this a little bit, but for partnerships between faculty and students to be successful, there truly must be a sharing of authority. And for that to happen, I think professors must be willing to silence their authority and allow students to take the lead. So for us, even though I was the one who reached out to you, Dr. Mayi, I don't think I would have been able to do so had I not undergone positive experiences in your classroom. So from those experiences, I knew that you were someone who valued peer mentoring and such aspects of teaching and learning. So I was more comfortable reaching out to you. So I think it's important for institutions to facilitate opportunities such as peer mentorship for students. And in addition to that, for professors to display their willingness to co-create and co-learn with their students on a regular basis. So regardless of whether they have a peer mentor at that point in time or not. Another important takeaway was the importance of integrating peer mentoring into the course curriculum. So it becomes part of a daily classroom routine rather than an external optional activity. So this leads to the last very important point, which is that if teacher-student partnerships are practiced in the manner that Romer and Whipple envisioned in 1991, where professors are able to silence their authority and allow for equal collaboration, then such partnerships will become sustainable and grow just as ours have.
Thank you, Tanaeem.
Thank you, Dr. Mayi, and thank you to the organizers for giving us the opportunity to share our work and our experiences. Thank you to everyone for coming, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Bye.